Okay, assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Jana. I'm from Kashi. Number 1, the acquisition learning hypothesis. This hypothesis claims that adults have two distinct ways of developing competence in second language. The first way is via language acquisition, that is by using language for real communication. Language acquisition is the natural way to develop linguistic ability and is subconscious process. Children, for example, are not necessarily aware that they are acquiring language. They are only aware that they are communication. The result of language acquisition, acquired linguistic competence, are also subconscious. We are not generally aware of the roles of language we have acquired. Instead, we have a feel for correctness. When we hear an error, we might not know exactly what rule was violated, but somehow know that an error was committed. The second way to develop competence in second language is by language learning. Language learning is knowing about language or formal knowledge of a language. Field acquisition is subconscious. Learning is conscious. Learning refers to explicit knowledge or rules, being aware of them and being able to tell about them. This kind of knowledge is quite different from language acquisition, which will be termed implicit. The acquisition learning hypothesis claims that adults can still acquire a second language, that the ability to pick up language does not disappear at puberty, as some have claimed, but is still with use adults. The acquisition learning hypothesis does not imply necessarily that adults can ingest a second language. The input hypothesis. This hypothesis states simply that we acquire, not learn, language by understanding input that is a little beyond our current level of acquired competence. This hypothesis is, in your opinion, of crucial importance since it is an attempt to answer a question that is important both theoretically and practically. The input hypothesis states, and in order for a question to progress to the next stage in the acquisition of target language, they need to understand input language that includes a structure that is part of the next stage. Second language acquisition theory. A corollary of the input hypothesis is the idea that input need not be finely tuned, ready to acquire auxiliary and articles. The teacher need not worry about providing auxiliary and articles in the input. In practice, providing optimal input may be surprisingly easy. The affective filter hypothesis. This hypothesis states that additional variables relating to success in second language acquisition generally relate directly to language acquisition. The natural approach, but not necessary to language learning. The shared literature indicates that certain effect variables are related to second language experiment performance with certain types of related to second language motivation, usually but not always integrative and with good self-image to better in second language acquisition. Also, the best situation for language acquisition seem to be choose which enrich lower anxiety levels. The reason affective factors are hypothesized to be directly related to education is that, in general, they appear to relate strongly to the second language acquirement and communicative types that are used stage and fulfill the accurate rather than learning system. And when the student taking the test have acquired the language in education situation, LA second language education in the country rather than foreign language learning exclusive in traditional system. Classroom Dulay and Bat have suggested that attitudinal factor might relate to second language education in following way. The natural order hypothesis. This hypothesis states that grammatical structures are accurate, not necessarily learned in predictable order. This stage we will see similarities across inquiries. Certain structures will tend to be accurate early, while others will tend to be accurate later. Before giving some example from the language acquisition research, it might be helpful to make some qualifying statements. The natural order hypothesis does not state that every acquired will acquire grammatical structures in the exact same order. It states rather that the natural order hypothesis does not state that every acquired will acquire grammatical structures in the exact same order. It states rather that in general certain structures tend to be acquired early and to be acquired late. It also allows the possibility that structures may be acquired in groups several at about the same time. Some examples may help to make this clear. One of the best studied parts of grammar in language acquisition is English morphology. It is well established finding that there exists a natural order for the acquisition of English morphology for children acquiring English as first language. The monitor hypothesis is hypothesis states that continuous learning has extremely invalid function in adult second language performance. It can only be used as monitor or an editor. The hypothesis says that when we produce user scan in second language. Oke, thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.